The most important thing I think you can do as a young person, so I'm going to speak to a couple of different groups here, young person in our community, is to become an expert, to be skilled in whatever it is that you are desirous of pursuing. And that takes countless hours, and in some cases it's outreach for knowledge and information, and in some cases it is building a learned capability. And to me, there's no substitute for that. The gift of gab, there's no substitute for becoming an expert and being the best at your craft. And that's what I focused on. So if you are sitting in your organization thinking about going to do something else, you need to make sure that you are the best skilled in that organization before you do that. Or you spot an arbitrage in the market that you can uniquely take advantage of over a long period of time. But the first thing is you've got to have those skills. I mean, you can say, oh, I'm going to go figure it out, but I think you should figure it out before you leave. And have a very specific design in mind where you can take advantage of that arbitrage, and I like to say not measured in years, but measured in decades. Okay, and then one of the most important things which I learned in chemical engineering is you have to keep the ignorant uninformed. Don't tell everyone how to do it. If you spot that arbitrage, go do it, and then build systems and barriers so that not everyone can come into your marketplace once they realize that you're making a fortune in it. Okay? Right. So, I mean, be thoughtful about it. You know, people have put barriers to us for hundreds of years, and they've been thoughtful about it. So be thoughtful about creating an economic opportunity for yourself and for your community where you can sustain that advantage. We do some things in our communities that no one does.
The thing I treat like a job now is not my job. I love my job. It's a joy and a hobby. So what I treat as a job is sleep and breakfast. Okay. And that's just my thing, right? Yeah. And why is that important? Okay, so I wasn't sleeping right. And as an adult, with modern technology and being responsible, I always wanted to be personally involved in my stuff, I was not stopping. And there was always an excuse to not go to bed. And even though you're a grown man, just get to bleeding bed. I spend all night saying it to the kids, so what about you? But then I went and met a sleep scientist and started getting into it, and you start realising that sleep has the most powerful effect on all of your body, the way you metabolize food, your energy, the way you fight disease, your skin, your energy, and the rhythms of those, so it's quality, not quantity. No less than 6, no more than 9.
If I was coming today, I would do whatever it would take for me to get to the information. I think that no matter what, it could have been in the times of Jesus, before Jesus, caveman times, it was about being around the information. Back in caveman times, it was about who knows how to make a fire, because my ass is cold. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like, you know, who really knows who is successful in this day and age and how they are successful. So I think that our educational system needs to be fixed in a sense, because you know, a degree means something to me, but experience kind of means more, and a point of view of where people want to go kind of mean more than somebody saying I have a master's from Harvard or whatever. No, I need to know, are you ready to go to war with me? Right. That's what I need to know.
Getting more and more intrigued by mindset, because I used to think of it as fluffy, like self-help, and now I think of it more as strategy. What's your strategy in life? Somebody asked me on Instagram after I posted this, Gary, if the mindset has been skewed, how can you bring it back? And I answered by surrounding yourself with people who have the mindset you aspire to. My friends, please understand that mindset is controllable in the same way that all our opinions are controllable. The key is to add more people with optimism and cut people with negativity. It's very, very simple. Now, it's very hard to cut people with pessimism, cynicism, and negativity when they are the people that are the closest to you. Parents, siblings, spouse, But the bottom line is, if you're asking the question, I'm gonna give you the answer. The answer is add more people with positivity and optimism and cut people with pessimism and cynicism. Who you surround yourself matters. What content you consume matters. I basically suffocate myself for a long period of my time and created an environment that was based on offense and optimism, and now I know no different. Please do the same for you. Make that move. Mold, and I mean mold, your mindset by what you consume and with whom you consume it.
Even when it doesn't feel good, feedback can be a really, really good thing. But first, I want us to make a distinction between feedback and criticism, because I think that's important. Feedback is the energy or the return energy of what's put out. This means that feedback is information about or reactions to our state of being and our performance and our way of being in relationship. Feedback comes to us as a response or a reaction, or sometimes as comments or a review of what we do and how we show up at any given moment. And feedback has a purpose. The purpose of feedback is to provide us with guidance or direction that will serve as the influence for modification or change in our behavior and in our energy. So in other words, feedback is a cue that something we do or say or how we behave needs to change. That's all it is. Now that sounds pretty harmless, but here comes the challenge. Most feedback either feels or sounds critical, which means that it's going to trigger a toxic memory or a feeling, which then motivates us to discount the feedback we're receiving. You know, we can't even hear it. So what is criticism then? If feedback is criticism, what is criticism? Criticism is feedback that demoralizes, condemns, judges, or blames. It's feedback that is consciously or unconsciously offered to manipulate or control. That's the difference. Where feedback is offered to motivate correction or change, criticism is offered to manipulate and control. And in many, many cases, while what people offer as constructive criticism, what they want to give us, it actually criticizes us. And that's what leads to a mental or emotional shutdown, and we can lose the value of what's being offered, because criticism is an offering. Now, here's the good news. All criticism is feedback. And here's the bad news. All criticism is feedback. What I mean is this: whether it's positive or negative, productive or unproductive, all feedback is telling you something you need to know about yourself. And what you hear and how you hear it has nothing to do with who's saying it. All feedback is about who you be and how you be, and it's bringing that to your awareness. There's something you need to change, beloved. Whether it is coming at you from your mother or your sister or your boss or your coworker or your partner, feedback is a source of information for self-improvement, and it can be received and used as the foundation for altering and changing your way of being or a specific course of behavior.
In a world that's changing so quickly, the biggest risk you can take is not taking any risk. And I really think that that's true, right? I mean, a lot of people I think that, whenever it comes to, whenever you get yourself into a position where you have to make some big shift in direction or do something, there are always people are going to point to the downside risks of that decision. And locally, they're maybe right? I mean, for any given decision that you're going to make, there's upside and downside. But in aggregate, if you are stagnant and you don't make those changes, then I think you're guaranteed to fail, right? And not catch up. So to some degree, I think it's really right that over time, the biggest risk that you can take is to not take any risks.
I encourage you, if you are sitting on an idea, whether it's on your laptop, whether it's in your garage, whether it's in your basement, whether it's in the back of your car, give it a shot, right? And the best advice I ever received, find out if your product can sell. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Give it a chance, try, make it happen. This is our greatest asset as a nation and one that we have to continue to encourage. You don't have to go broke, you don't have to bet everything on it, but you can start one day at a time, taking a chance and seeing if you too can build a great company.